The first St. Jude's to exist in Oakville was situated in a white clapboard building with a tall spire located on the northwest corner of Colburn Street and Thomas Street. The Anglican parishioners in Oakville had been looking for a place in which to set up a church and found this building, which was being used by the Methodists at that time, but who were no longer able to maintain it. The building was purchased in 1842. Bishop Strong named the church after the patron saint of lost causes, St. Jude. It wasn't long before the Anglican congregation outgrew the building, and so they began to look around for land on which to erect their new church. The plot of land situated on the southwest corner of William Street and Thomas Street was being used as a holding pen for livestock being sold on market days. The market itself was held on the lawn in front of the town hall, which is where the Lawn Bowling Club is situated. It is thought that the land was owned by the Chisholm family, as they owned the adjacent 2 plots of land. On the plot fronting on William, there was a small building called the Anderson House. This house was eventually designated for the sexton, an old English term used for church caretaker. The back plot was vacant land and is now the garden. All 3 plots were purchased, and a cornerstone for the church was laid on June 13, 1883, by the head of the Masonic Lodge. A sterling silver trowel that was used to smooth the stone can be viewed in a case in the rector's office. The first main door to the church was on Thomas Street, directly across from the font at the back. The original building was rectangular in shape and faced the lake, the chancel being at the southwest end with the font at the northwest end. In the mid-1880s, the church installed gated private pews on which were fixed the names of the parishioners who purchased them. This was seen as a way of raising funds for the church, and such local notables as W.S. Davis, realtor, Christopher Armstrong, part owner of the Oakville Tannery, Alex Chisholm and family, and the Lightbourne family were among the contributors. This carried on until the early 1900s. In 1910, at an annual vestry meeting, it was proclaimed that all pews should be free. Mr. Lightbourne and Mr. W.A. Chisholm expressed their concern about the loss of revenue. As raising funds was always a challenge for the church, a solution was reached that if they could increase the number of envelope subscribers, they could replace the lost revenue. And so it was that private pews, which were in a state of disrepair, were removed and were replaced by the oak pews being used today. It was at this time that a member of the congregation donated the text, which can be seen transcribed over the entrance to the chancery. "Reverence my sanctuary, I am the Lord." In the early 1850s, Mrs. Esther Thomas, sister of Rebecca Chisholm, who was the wife of William Chisholm, donated land for a cemetery and parsonage for St. Jude's. Esther's husband, Merrick Thomas, was a business partner of William Chisholm, who had hired him in 1827 as the superintendent in charge of planning the Oakville Village site and shipyards. The Thomas family lived on a 200-acre farm between Lake Ontario and Lower Middle Road, now the QEW. The acreage was bisected by Lakeshore Road, and most of the farm was north of the road. Merrick had leased this land from King's College in 1829 and named it Murray Hill Farm. He built the family home north of the road where St. Thomas Aquinas High School is now situated. It had been found that the soil south of Lakeshore Road was far too sandy to farm, so in 1853, the family donated the land to St. Jude's. In that same year, a 2-day-long bazaar was held at the Temperance Hall to create a fund to erect a parsonage, which was to be located at Holyrood, the southern end of the lot donated by the Thomases. The parsonage would have a view of the lake, and a carriageway was built to link the building to Lakeshore Road. The cemetery was laid out on the northeast corner of the lot. In the 1860s, there was an incident which caused the congregation to look for a new location for the parsonage. The now incumbent vicar, Reverend Worrell, had set out walking for the parsonage at Holyrood after an evening service. This was not uncommon. However, this particular evening there was a raging snowstorm, and the vicar became disoriented. The congregation was very concerned that this should never happen again. So, in 1869, a new manse was located on the corner of William Street and Dunn Street, just blocks from St. Jude's. This manse was sold in the 70s, some 100 years later. As did the population of Oakville, St. Jude's congregation continued to grow. It was determined that a new addition would be required to house the burgeoning Sunday school, and for this reason, the Victoria Hall extension was built in 1887. The beautiful Jubilee window was installed at this time in honor of Queen Victoria. The funding for this window was provided by Mr. Christopher Armstrong and family. Access to this building was from a separate door on Thomas Street. Of note, the hall was used as a setting for a movie taking place in New England. Unfortunately, the window appeared in the final copy of the film. It likely was an oversight on the part of the film editors, as the New Englanders were pulling away from British rule at the time during which the film was set. Elsewhere on the wall of the Victoria Hall, at one time, it is said that there was inscribed the words, "O Lord, help us prepare for our station in life." In 1895, at an annual vestry meeting, a committee was formed to estimate the cost of building a tower. It took several years, but eventually they found the funds for the tower, which was erected in 1906. A stone pinnacle was added to each corner of the tower. Unfortunately, one stone fell off, and for safety reasons, the other three were removed. A chime of bells, which had been forged in Croydon, England, was installed in 1906. The largest bell was named Big Ted, after the then reigning King Edward VIII, who had given his permission for the bells. Always in need of finding a way of raising funds for the church, one imaginative parishioner came up with the idea of charging an entrance fee to the tower. It was said that the mist from Niagara Falls could be seen from the very top. At the time, the tower was the tallest structure in Oakville, and in order to climb this edifice, there was an entrance fee of 5 cents. Once again, due to a growing Sunday school, in November 1924, an addition was added to the church, which consisted of a main floor hall, now called the Helen Poole Library Hall, and 2 classrooms. Both faced King Street. There was an upper floor with more classrooms, a parish council room, and a lower level with more classrooms. A main floor access door from King Street was included. In 1956, an extension was added to the north end of the church. This addition allowed several rows of pews to be added to the nave. It also included a narthex, vestibule, a lower youth room, and a balcony with several more pews. Thus, the capacity of the church was raised to 435 parishioners. Before the narthex was added, there were 2 north entrance doors. Now there was only one door giving access to William Street. Later, in 1956, a further extension was constructed to the southwest of the nave to house the rector's office, 2 administration offices, the choir vestry, and the kitchen. Above the balcony is a rose window. That was deteriorating, so it was replaced in early 2000 with stained glass. Throughout the renovations, the integrity of the building was retained, except that gabled windows were not added to the 1956 extension. It was thought that the added cost might have been a factor.